All right, so you've seen the video of us going over the parts. We got a few other things to add to the install list. As I pulled this thing in here now, we're starting to get it tore apart. Pulling everything apart so we can get the intake manifold off. Like I said, we're doing the valve cover gasket. We're going to be doing all the timing. We have all new motor mounts. We're going to be pulling off the struts. I do have a set of brakes that are nearly new off of another car. We're going to be installing them. We got the control arms. We got the sway bars. So, with that being said, we now have an intercooler. We have a big wheel stock AGP intercooler. We have some gauges down here that we're going to be installing also. And we're going to get this trunk emptied out. So, with that, we have to get, we're going to be pulling off, like I said, the sway bars got to come off. We're going to pull all the struts off. I have these rear brakes with basically brand new brake pads. We're going to put them on. I got to grab the fronts. They have some, they're slotted and drilled rotors with some really good pads. They're pretty much like brand new. So we're going to be swapping them on, as these ones are quite well used. They got a pretty heavy lip on them. And, you know, getting the new struts assembled. We're going to be reusing the covers and the bumpers in here. So we got to take the struts apart to get this part. So, man, with that, I guess we're probably going to start back here because this is going to make this a little easier. All right. So we're going to get up in here. We're going to pull these end links off. We're going to get these sway bar brackets off up here, and get the entire sway bar off. And then we're going to work on getting we're going to pull, obviously we'll pull the calipers out of the way because it makes it easier to get to the bolt. So we'll pull the rotor off and we'll get our struts and we'll start working on getting them compressed and apart. All right, so we have everything here removed off the back. We had to get up in here, pop these tops out. We got those pulled back, pulled all of our bolts, nuts. We got our nuts pulled off here. So down in here, we have everything down and out of the way. You can see up through. The rotors came off all right. The old struts came off, and we pulled our sway bar. Everything came out really nice. And then this is what we got going on for replacements. Let's get this sway bar over here. We got to see what that looks like. So here's our big difference right here on your sway bar. So you can see everything side by side. There's our new springs, our new top hats, the new rear struts. Everything's here. It looks like it comes with a new center nut. Here is the Hotchkis sway bar. You can see the difference in the size next to it. It comes with the new bushings that can be greased and the new end links. These new style here actually come with a Heim end. That is actually pretty sweet. I'm kind of upset I don't have those, seeing as I just bought these new about 1.5 years ago. So I mean, that's definitely a nice upgrade. So I'm going to take these struts. We're going to stick them into our strut compressor here because we need to pull off the boot, and there should be a rubber bushing in there also, and we're going to get those installed. We'll show you what it looks like doing one, and then we'll get everything installed here. All right, this is turning out to be quite the adventure. We do have a lot of parts installed here now. So we got the sway bar on. These struts, they're definitely something fun to install, especially on the machine. The springs are located in a little bit of a different area, so that made it a little bit more challenging. But we have everything switched over. Here's the bracket that holds the ABS wire. Like I said, we got the new brakes. The new brakes are installed. And you can see the sway bar going across. We're getting ready to do that side, obviously. We had to pull the old ones apart to pull this and the lower rubbers off and install them onto the new ones. But we have this one here. This is ready to go. We won't install the other end link on the other side or this here till we have the strut in and we're actually down to the end link and the brakes and everything are on. Then we'll tighten up our lower here. But man, these Heim ends, they look really cool compared to what was on here before. They had like a ball joint end, I believe, on the other ones. It almost looks like the end of a tie rod end. like an outer tie rod. And I mean, I guess they work, but this is a whole lot sweeter. So, all right, we're going to take that strut, that spring, and make one thing. All right, we have the driver's side rear done. Gotta get that in there. That's upside down, so we gotta flip that around. Got the driver's side done. Everything is good to go. All the end links are nice and tight. Everything is fixed up. Seems to clear everything pretty good. So we're getting ready to stick the wheels on and move ourselves up to the front. We're working on getting the suspension torn apart. We got the brakes are about ready to come off. We're going to be pulling off our brake rotor and our pads, and then getting the we're actually going to be doing the lower control arm here also. So we're going to work on getting the sway bar off. Looks like one of the bolts were already broke off down there at one time, because they did something with this control arm on this because it was already replaced. So I wanted to make a note, check out where they got the ground wire going. This is obviously, if they have these, this is supposed to go over here. Okay. While I'm down here, I just wanted to make a note. You can tell that the center mount is sagged, and the front lower mount here, it's torn down here, and it's torn right here. Hopefully that can be seen. We do have some oil leaks on here, but we are going to be tearing this apart and doing the timing belt right after we get done with the suspension stuff. So we'll be getting all this cleaned up here real nice, and like I said, installing the new motor mounts. So I'm working on trying to get everything tore apart. We have our intake is loose. Getting the motor mounts off. Like I said, we're gonna focus on trying to get the suspension done for this video right here. So like I said, everything's loose. We got our bolts off. Everything's ready to come apart and be pulled. We've got the control arms off of both sides. The driver's side one here is pretty easy. You just get to your bolt here and there, and then your sway bar across the bottom has two. Everything actually pretty much came out. The one bushing was really shot on the passenger side. We just have our axles zip tied up for right now. And then if you come over here on this side, you'll have to remove the lower engine mount to get these control arms out. We're gonna have to get in here and clean this out a little bit with a brush, but we'll get everything coated with some anti-seize. And then here's our engine mount. It looks like it was moving around on there. And then this one, you can tell, got some tearing to it. Starting to show its age. So they're pulled. Let's get back here. Let's take a look at what we got. We're going to be switching everything over. I've got the new front control arms sitting up front. I'll show you what they look like here real quick. But here's our old struts. We're going to switch over these cables. Most of the time, these wires, these ground straps, are absolutely usually no good. We got to pull the bump stops and the covers off to install them on here. We've got new bearing caps, new rubbers. There's our sway bar. You can actually see just how bad these bushings were. This thing was in here flopping around, man. So the Hotchkis sway bar comes with new end lengths and new sway bar bushings. Here's our old front links. They were a mess. One broke. They were pretty ugly to get off. Let's just take a quick look at these control arms. So get that in your mind. That one was replaced, like I said, and this one looks like it might be the original one. So the new ones that we have, they're up here in bags. So let's take a look at this quick. So we got a grease fitting and a cover the new tie rod. These are Duralast ones from AutoZone. I usually buy the ones from Detroit Axle, but these came with the car to be installed, so we're going to get them in. All we got to do is just install this. We'll get our holes cleaned out. We'll probably take a wire brush to the threads on the bolts and get everything coated up with that wonderful anti-seize stuff, and we'll get them installed. We do have to, like I said, get the strut switched over on our wonderful spring compressor. Hopefully the fronts go easier than the backs did, because they just were a real pain. Well, with that, we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Here we go. Like I said, we still have the sway bar to install. We've been doing some other things too, but we have control arms, and we have our struts are now assembled. Very nice. I don't know why that went on with, I don't know why they printed that on upside down, but that is the correct way that the spring goes on. All the nice new tops, everything's assembled. We had to reuse the nuts, but man, they went together pretty nice. And like I said, everything's together here. We started getting some of this stuff coated with the anti-seize so that it can go back together. We will have to tighten up the control arms, but like I said, we're going to wait to try to do that till we get a little bit of a, try to get jack up on the suspension a little bit, kind of weigh it down a little bit before you tighten up your bushings. There's the other one. So I mean, it's coming together. We drained the coolant. The coolant's drained. Here, I'll just show you real quick what the struts look like when they're apart. Okay. Then the springs, they'll have a little, they have a little tag on them. This one over here has the tag. It says SRT, so the springs are there. But there's, you know, that's mostly all the old stuff sitting here. The rear sway bar, the front sway bar, all the stuff that we're not going to be using. And with that, I guess I'm going to kind of cut this here, and we're going to be working on doing the timing belt next before we get the rest of the suspension put together.